We're returning to Europe now and heading for the Alps in Switzerland to catch up with snowbiking's premier team.
There are plenty of ways to get down a mountain, but on the slopes of Saas-Fee in Switzerland, they've come up with one of the most original.
When I ride around somewhere with the Snowbike, everyone looks at me like, with eyes like that, and they laugh, but yes, it's a good feeling.
It also happens to be a serious sport in which more than a dozen countries compete and where the Swiss team lead the way.
In the last 5 years, the world champion was Swiss, and we have always brought back at least one medal. And when the World Championship was in Switzerland in 1999, one of our riders, Franz Tschumperlin, picked up 3 medals, and Bjorn Walter got 4.
The reason I started to do ski bob came in part from my family. My uncle was double world champion in 1985, and because I liked mountain biking, I gradually got into this sport and found it fun.
It's pretty special to be in the Swiss Snowbike team. We are all very well integrated into the group. The team spirit is fantastic, and when we're all on the road, there's a great atmosphere, very good team spirit, and we work in a very professional manner.
There are currently 7 riders in the senior squad, but you can start as soon as you're old enough to literally ride a bike.
My best day in snowbiking was the World Championships, because I became world champion. I like that very much.
Snowbikes have been around since the 18th century, but it was the founding of the International Ski Bob Association in 1961 and the inaugural World Championships 2 years later that really added a competitive edge to the sport.
Snowbiking is basically not that hard to learn, but the hard thing is mastering it properly, the racing and so on. Until you've reached a certain level, it is quite tough. Technically, it's very similar to snowboarding or skiing.
The Snowbike has a steel frame. It has a shock absorber at the back and front. That comes from motocross. And the absorption is carried through to the skis using a parallelogram. There's a ski at the front and a ski at the back, and then there are 2 small foot skis for balance. It's important that the shock absorber is properly balanced so that corners can be taken smoothly.
Competitions cover all the usual alpine events, from the precision of slalom to the breakneck speed of downhill.
In a snowbike race, the start is extremely important, especially when the ground after the start is relatively flat. Then it's very important to leave the start area as fast as possible in order to be able to gain distance and speed.
The speed that you ride at is, well, I'd say definitely over 100 kilometers an hour. If you ride a course with no gates, then you can go over 100. If you're going downhill, then 110, 120 kilometers an hour. But that's very extreme, very fast.
And at those speeds, you might be forgiven for thinking that the sport could be more than a little risky.
Snowbiking is not really dangerous. I've fallen off a few times, but not so that I've broken anything or anything like that.
I've never had a serious injury. Last year, I got a small wound, but that's the worst thing that's happened to me up until now. I don't know anyone who's been seriously or permanently hurt through snowbiking.
The Swiss team is currently looking forward to the new World Cup season, which kicks off on the 15th of December in Austria. But even for the best, it's not all about winning.
The feeling you get is absolutely brilliant. I mean, if you know how to ride a motorbike and you ride it well, you know exactly the feeling. Leaning into the curves, or if you're a good snowboarder too, you feel the speed and the wind rushing past your ears. It really is quite phenomenal, and there's nothing like it.
Ski bob is fantastic, and you absolutely have to try it.